So your yurt's going to arrive in a crate like this. And the first thing you're going to want to do is find the aluminium channels. And you're going to take half of them to use to create this bottom circle. It's very easy. Just join them together and use the nuts and bolts provided. You can leave them finger tight at this stage and then come back and tighten them once the rest of the wall frame is installed. Then you're going to slide these brackets onto the channel. Again, you're going to slide half of these on. You're going to keep the other half for the top channel. These are going to hold the wall panels. Once you've got the circle fixed in place and centered, you can trace around it for your final cut of the platform. You want to allow a 50mm edge all the way around so that you've got room to put the mounting brackets. So cut your platform to size. And you want to get 8 brackets all the way around the base, ideally. And you want to use a suitable screw. This is a landscape screw, 125mm. Then you can assemble the wall panels, and you're leaving gaps for the windows wherever you want them. You can judge the size by using the window frame as a guide. And you're leaving a gap for the front door as well, which is about 1 meter, but just measure your door so that you're leaving the right size gap. You're putting the top channel on and you're sliding these roof beam holders, the little white pieces. You're sliding a few of them onto each aluminium channel as you go. It'll make it much easier. And you can install your window frame with the Tech screws provided. And at this stage you can install the glass as well once you've got the frames in. On this build we didn't because the weather was coming in, so we wanted to get the covers on as soon as possible. Then to assemble the roof beams, just hold that center ring up and you're going to start putting beams around to support the weight. It can be tricky for the big size yurts. You're going to need a scaffold and maybe a couple of people. And then just go around and keep putting the poles in. You'll figure it out as you go, but you've got to leave gaps. You've got to leave the right number of gaps for each pole, but you can adjust on the fly. Here you can see I'm moving the holders around so that they're all nice and even. And the frame's pretty flexible at this point, so you just need to push the frame out with your shoulder, make room for the beam, and then once you've got the beam in place, drop it back in. It gets more difficult as you go along. Then your outer covers, you're going to place the interior cloth first with the seams facing outwards, so the good side is facing in towards the yurt, and put the door opening over the door, obviously. Then you're going to put your insulation layer over the top with the Velcro tabs facing outwards, and then attach the wall layer to the Velcro tabs. Next, you've got your waterproof layer. Very simple. Each one of these has a string that you tie at the top as well. And then the yurt cover, the final cover. Make sure your eaves are facing outwards. And this takes a few people. This is heavy, especially on the bigger size yurts. So you're going to need a few helpers at this stage. Then your whirlybird, you're simply going to drill a pilot hole and use the rivets provided to secure it. You want to get at least 4 rivets all the way around your whirlybird. And you can install it from the inside. Just squeeze it through the ring at the top. Push it through. It'll already have the aluminium tabs screwed to it. And you're just going to pull those tabs down and fix them with the Tech screws into the steel ring. Then you've got a bamboo pole on each side of your door opening. I just forgot to install these earlier on, but you would normally do this when you're doing your wall panels. And those bamboo poles want to be about 1 meter apart, but again, check your door for accurate measurements. And if you need to adjust at this stage, you can kick the wall panels around. They can still move back and forward. And you want to start cutting your cloth. And what I'm doing here is cutting the interior cloth so that it fits nicely around that bamboo pole. And you just want to take your time here. You can always cut more material off. So go slow. Here I'm cutting the insulation layer out, totally out of the way. We don't need that to wrap around the bamboo pole. We just want to cut that all the way back so it's out of the way of the door altogether. And then the outer cover, I'm also trimming this so that it fits around that bamboo pole. Just slowly working my way in. You want to make sure you've got enough material that you can wrap it around that bamboo pole. Enough to be able to get it nice and tight. Here you can see I've finally got it to the right shape and size. Wrap it nice and tight around that pole and then put a couple of screws in there to hold the material. And you can put a screw through the bottom wall bracket as well to stop the pole rotating, and that'll hold everything nice and tight. while you get the door in. Then you want to get some silicone on this bottom aluminium channel before you put your door in. Then you've got 2 bamboo strips that you want to place on either side of the door next to the bamboo pole. Then you want to use the large nails. You want to hammer that all the way through the bamboo strip and the pole into the door frame. Make sure you pre-drill the bamboo strip before you do that, and get 3 or 4 nails on each side of the door. Then you can screw your door into the aluminium frame on all 4 corners on the outside. And then you want to silicone everything up. You want to squeeze as much silicone as you can between the door frame and the cover. And you're essentially gluing that cover to the door frame by the time you're finished. You want to push them together, push the cover from the inside, push it against the door frame, and then smooth it out. And do the same with the bottom. Your doorknob, it's got a piece of metal that you poke into. There's a little hole on one side, and that'll release one side of the handle. If you get stuck here, just Google doorknob installation. It's the same for all of them. Then you can pull these window trims out. Just be really gentle, they're very delicate. You should be able to pull them out with the nails still in. If you can't, you can pull the nails all the way out. Just be gentle. And once you've got them out, you can install your window pane. You want a layer of silicone all the way around. Then your glass panel. More silicone. This will stop the window from rattling. And obviously keep it waterproof as well. Then you can install these trims back. Be really careful. You can put a rag behind the hammer here to protect the glass and just go really slow. And you can start installing your small windows. You're going to cut the cloth to the shape of the window. Just start slow and make sure you go outside the yurt and fold your eave up out of the way. Otherwise you will inadvertently cut your eave when you get to this stage. Also, double check your window width. Make sure you've got those wall panels the right width apart before you do any of this final cutting. Start small and slowly work your way out. You're cutting the outer cover here at a 45-degree angles up into the corners of where the window is going to sit. And that's so that we can fold the material later. You'll see that. Then with these wall panels, you want to just bend them slightly here, and that's so that it sits inside the window frame. The window frame is going to sit on top of this wall panel, and it needs to tuck in nice and neatly. Here I'm cutting the interior cloth, also with the 45-degree angles. Once you've done that, you can tuck the interior cloth out of the way, and then you can cut your insulation layer completely out. Whirly bird makes a bit of a clunking noise every now and then, and you try and figure out what it is.
Oh,
Now you can sit your window frame on top of the wall panel. Tuck them together. until it drops onto that wall panel nicely.
Do you want us to help you with the windows?
I will need help when I get to the big windows for sure.
Okay.
These little ones are not too bad.
Alright.
Then you can get some screws through the frame all the way into the wall panel. 2 screws on each side at least, and 2 screws at the top into the aluminium channel as well. Then you can come outside and you're going to start trimming your outer material. You want to leave some excess material because you're going to fold it around on itself. At the top you can cut it all the way just below the Velcro seam. You can basically cut all of the material away there, and that'll be covered by the eave later. Then your bamboo strips, you want to pre-drill them. Always pre-drill any time you're going to put a screw through a bamboo strip, otherwise it will split. You can do this before, or you can do it once you're actually installing it on the window. Here I'm folding the PVC cover around on itself. So it's just tucking inside onto itself, the same with the interior cloth, and then we're fixing it with these bamboo strips. You'll see here what it looks like before you tighten it. Basically the PVC cover is folded around on itself, and so is the interior cloth. And you want the PVC just sitting a little bit more proud so that when you screw it down you can't see the interior cloth, and it's going to form a nice tight seal around the window. Take your time when you do all of this, it can be pretty tricky. And watch that those screws don't grab the interior cloth and twist it when you're putting them through. You can poke a hole through first if it's easier, or pre-drill. Try and drill through the cloth, or move the cloth out of the way of the screw if you can. Once you've done all that, silicone everywhere that you can on both sides of these bamboo strips, and everywhere that you see gaps, you want to silicone everything. And just for extra security, you can silicone this, the actual window seal as well, especially this bottom one. Then your big windows are the same process. You're going to start by cutting out the material. Again, make sure your eave is rolled up out of the way. And if you had installed the glass windows earlier on in the stage, you would be obviously doing this from the outside now. Same process. You'll see there that the wall holder sits in a slightly different position up against these window frames. You'll figure that out when you're doing the initial building of the frame. When you're cutting these top layers, you're just going to cut back the interior cloth and the insulation and then just tuck it nicely behind the aluminium frame. Cut the insulation away from the window frame altogether. Then you can prepare the windows. So we've got these plastic strips that go on all four sides of the window. You need to cut them at a 45-degree angle. And you want to measure these so that they fit the window as precisely as possible. You'll notice there's different sizes for the curved ends of the window and the straight ends. And then you're just going to tap them on. Use a rubber mallet. Be gentle. And then where they meet in the corners, that's where those 45-degree angles are going to sit nicely together. They don't have to be perfect, just as close as you can. And then later on, you're going to silicone everything up. You don't need silicone at this stage. And you can put your window in. You want to have somebody inside the yurt at this stage just to stop it from falling inwards. In this case, we had already test fitted this window. And before you get to this stage, you want to double and triple check your frame. Make sure it's square and make sure it matches the window size with the trimmings on before you go placing your window. Then you can get 3 screws into each side of the window on the verticals and the horizontals, and inside and outside. This can be tricky, and you might find it easier to drill a pilot hole. You want to get the screw in just at the right angle. You obviously don't want the screw to penetrate the glass. And I'm protecting the glass with my hand here. And you don't want to tighten it all the way, just so it sits nicely in that plastic strip. Once you've done this, you're going to silicone all the way around the window on the inside and the outside, same as you did with the small windows. And you're going to do the same thing with the outer covers and the bamboo strips to make a watertight seal. That's what it should look like. And then you want to fix the outer cover to the underneath of the window frame, under the little lip, and fix it with these aluminium strips and silicone behind and everywhere you can. And that's it. That's another yurt in the dirt. If you've got any questions, reach out, and good luck.